Everything you need to know about Adobe Illustrator. Part 2. The Line Segment Tool. Shortcut is the backslash. The Line Segment tool draws perfectly straight lines in any direction you drag your mouse. In Illustrator, a line is called a stroke, and there is a variety of thicknesses, styles, colors, and fills that can be applied to it. The Arc tool. No shortcut. The Arc tool lets you create and modify arcs. The Spiral tool. No default shortcut. The Spiral tool lets you create and modify spiral paths. Use the up and down arrow keys to change the number of cycles of the spiral. The Rectangular Grid tool. No shortcut. The Rectangular Grid tool creates rectangular grids of a specified size and number of horizontal and vertical dividers. Use the arrow keys to change the number of columns and lines. The Polar Grid tool. If you want to create circular grids in Illustrator, use the Polar Grid tool. Use the arrow keys to change the number of subdivisions. The Rectangle tool. Shortcut is the letter M. Click and drag to create a rectangle. Holding Shift will create a perfect square. You can click the rectangle icon to draw rectangles and squares. Rounded Rectangle tool. The Rounded Rectangle tool allows you to draw squares and rectangles with rounded corners. Holding Shift will create a perfect square. The Ellipse tool. Click and drag to create an ellipse. Holding Shift will create a perfect circle. The Polygon tool. The Polygon tool lets you create polygon and triangle shapes in your artwork. Use the up or down arrow keys to change the number of sides. The Star tool. The Star tool lets you create pointed shapes in your artwork. Select the Star tool. Drag on the artboard to create a 5-pointed star. Use the up or down arrow keys to change the number of points. The Flare tool. The Flare tool creates flare objects with a bright center, a halo, and rays and rings. The objects created already have blending modes selected, so you can just place the flare on top of an image or an illustration. The Paintbrush tool. The Paintbrush tool is one of the tools found in the Tools palette. It works in a similar way to the Pencil tool, in that you click and drag the path. You can even apply the brush stroke to a predetermined path. The Blob Brush. The Blob Brush tool. Shortcut is Shift-B, click and drag to create a filled compound. The Shaper tool. It allows you to draw shapes like rectangles, circles, and polygons using loose gestures of these shapes. You can use a digital drawing tool like a tablet or even your mouse to make these gestures. This Illustrator will automatically turn it into a crisp geometric. The Pencil tool. The Pencil tool is used for drawing free path lines, just as if you are using an actual pencil to draw on the paper. It also works very similarly to the Paintbrush tool. Dragging the mouse close to where you started will close the path. The Eraser tool. Click and drag on top of a selected object to erase parts of it. Press the square bracket keys to change the eraser size. The Scissors tool. Click on a path to split it at that specific point. The Knife tool. You can use the Knife tool to divide parts of a shape or text to make different edits, separate shapes, and cut out a shape. The Rotate tool. Click and drag to rotate the selected object. Clicking anywhere in the artboard will change the reference point of the rotation. The Reflect tool. Click and drag to reflect the selected object. The easiest way to use it is to hold Shift and drag observing the reference point. The Scale tool. Click and drag to scale the selected object. Holding Shift will lock the scale horizontally, vertically, or proportionally, depending on the direction you drag. The Shear tool. Click and drag to skew the selected object. Holding Shift will lock the tool on the horizontal or vertical axis. Click and drag to skew the selected object. The Reshape tool. Click and drag on a path to reshape it. This tool is clunky and can add lots of anchor points. There are better ways to reshape paths. That's it for today. If you haven't checked the Part 1, link is in the description below. Don't forget to like and share.